The exploitation of Africa by Western powers persists, offering meager benefits akin to charitable handouts. However, Liberia has boldly chosen to break free from this cycle. It has opted to retaliate against the West by closing its doors to exports. The privileges enjoyed by former masters must now come to an end, starting with Liberia. But what prompted Liberia to make this decision? Let us delve into the reasons behind it. Liberia's history of European colonization has had a profound impact on its present economic predicament and its reliance on the exportation of raw materials. Founded as a settlement for liberated African American slaves in the 19th century, Liberia's colonial past intersects with the broader patterns of European imperialism and economic exploitation in Africa. Although Liberia did not experience colonization in the same manner as many other African nations, it was heavily influenced by external powers, particularly in terms of its economic development. During the colonial era, European powers, notably Britain and France, exerted significant influence on Liberia's trajectory. A significant legacy of colonialism in Liberia is the establishment of an economic model centered around the extraction and exportation of raw materials. European colonial powers and later American interests primarily sought to exploit Liberia's abundant natural resources, including rubber, timber, and minerals, for export to their own countries. This economic model left Liberia with a dual legacy. On one hand, it endowed the country with valuable natural resources that could have fueled economic growth. On the other hand, it fostered a pattern of dependence on the exportation of raw materials, with limited value-added processes taking place within the country. The infrastructure and institutions that emerged during the colonial period were primarily geared toward facilitating the extraction and export of raw materials. As a result, there was a lack of investment in domestic industries and limited diversification of the economy beyond resource extraction. Moreover, the terms of engagement with foreign companies, particularly in industries such as rubber, often favored the interests of external entities. Take, for instance, companies like Firestone, which established extensive operations in Liberia's rubber sector. They benefited from advantageous concessions and agreements that prioritized their interests at the expense of the local population. Consequently, Liberia's economy became heavily dependent on the export of raw materials, with limited advancements in industrialization and value-added processes taking place within the country. This dependency has endured, shaping Liberia's economic landscape and giving rise to challenges such as limited job opportunities, uneven development, and vulnerability to fluctuations in global commodity prices. However, Liberia has delivered a resounding message to the West. It has taken decisive actions to reclaim control over its resources, with a particular emphasis on the recent decision to halt the export of unprocessed rubber. Let's explore the key steps Liberia has taken in pursuit of this objective. In November 2023, the country's president issued Executive Order 124, temporarily suspending the export of unprocessed rubber. This strategic move aimed to strengthen Liberia's rubber industry by fostering local manufacturing and the production of finished goods. This marked a departure from Liberia's historical reliance on exporting raw materials. The executive order was crafted to incentivize rubber processing within Liberia, rather than exporting it in its raw form. By adding value through processing and manufacturing, Liberia sought to retain a larger share of the economic benefits within its borders. The decision to halt the export of unprocessed rubber aimed to benefit small-scale rubber farmers in Liberia. The government intended to provide these farmers with improved market access, fairer prices, and increased economic opportunities by promoting local processing and manufacturing. To enforce the ban on the export of unprocessed rubber, Executive Order 124 established a regulatory framework. It prohibited government entities from issuing export permits for unprocessed rubber and directed customs officers and law enforcement personnel to prevent its export. In line with this shift, Liberia has commenced investments in processing infrastructure to facilitate the transition towards local processing. This includes initiatives to establish processing plants, train workers, and enhance access to technology and equipment necessary for rubber processing. Furthermore, the Liberian government has actively engaged with stakeholders in the rubber industry, including rubber planters, exporters, and industry associations. These engagements facilitate discussions on the implications of the executive order and gather feedback regarding its implementation. Liberia's determination to take control of its resources and foster local value addition in the rubber sector marks a significant turning point in the country's economic trajectory, signaling a departure from historical patterns of exploitation and dependency. This endeavor seeks to address concerns and foster a collaborative approach during the transition. How does Liberia's prohibition on the export of unprocessed rubber align with the broader national benefits derived from natural resources? Liberia's ban on unprocessed rubber exports aligns closely with wider Pan-African movements that strive to maximize national benefits from natural resources. The decision reflects a burgeoning sentiment across Africa, advocating for increased sovereignty and control over these valuable assets. For far too long, African nations have been subjected to exploitation, with their resources often serving the interests of external powers. By imposing restrictions on the export of unprocessed rubber, Liberia asserts its rightful authority to manage its resources in a manner that prioritizes national development and benefits its citizens. The ban on unprocessed rubber exports falls in line with endeavors to promote value addition and industrialization within Africa. Rather than exporting raw materials at a lower value, African countries are aiming to enhance their economic gains by engaging in processing and manufacturing, thus capturing more of the benefits within their borders. This strategic approach contributes to the growth of local industries, the creation of employment opportunities, and the diversification of economies. The Pan-African movements champion economic empowerment and the creation of wealth for African nations and their people. By halting the export of unprocessed rubber, Liberia seeks to empower local rubber farmers and advance their economic interests. Through domestic processing, Liberia can generate higher revenues, stimulate job growth, and foster entrepreneurship, thereby contributing to broader economic empowerment objectives. African nations aspire to reduce their reliance on external markets and foreign investors, particularly in sectors heavily dependent on natural resources. The ban on unprocessed rubber exports represents a significant step towards decreasing Liberia's dependence on external buyers and multinational corporations. Liberia aims to build resilience and self-sufficiency within its rubber industry by promoting local processing and manufacturing, thereby reducing vulnerability to external market fluctuations and influences. Furthermore, the ban on unprocessed rubber exports aligns with efforts to foster regional integration and intra-African trade. By encouraging local processing and manufacturing, Liberia can actively contribute to the growth of regional value chains and trade networks, enhancing economic cooperation and collaboration among African nations. Liberia's decision to halt the export of unprocessed rubber exemplifies its commitment to charting a new course toward greater self-determination, economic prosperity, and collective advancement within the Pan-African context. Liberian policymakers and economists envision a future for the country's economy that emphasizes diversification and job creation. They recognize the significance of reducing Liberia's dependence on the export of raw materials like rubber and minerals. To achieve this, policymakers are focusing on developing other sectors, such as agriculture, manufacturing, services, and technology. By diversifying the economy, Liberia can create a more resilient and balanced economic foundation, reducing vulnerability to fluctuations in global commodity prices and external market influences. The agricultural sector holds great potential for job creation and economic growth. Liberia has fertile land and favorable climatic conditions, which can be leveraged to boost agricultural production. Policymakers aim to support small-scale farmers, improve infrastructure, and promote value addition in the agricultural value chain. Furthermore, the development of the manufacturing sector is seen as crucial to Liberia's economic future. By encouraging the establishment of local manufacturing industries, policymakers aim to create job opportunities and stimulate economic growth. This involves providing support for local entrepreneurs, attracting foreign direct investment, and enhancing access to technology and skilled labor. The services sector, including tourism and financial services, is also identified as a key area for growth. Liberia's natural beauty and cultural heritage present opportunities for tourism development, which can generate employment and revenue. Additionally, the financial services sector can contribute to economic diversification and attract foreign investment. Moreover, policymakers recognize the role of technology and innovation in driving economic transformation. Efforts are being made to foster an environment conducive to technological advancements, entrepreneurship, and digitalization. This includes investing in infrastructure, promoting digital literacy, and supporting startups and innovation hubs. Overall, Liberian policymakers and economists are committed to building a diversified economy that prioritizes job creation and reduces dependency on raw material exports. By promoting sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, services, and technology, they aim to create a more resilient and inclusive economy that benefits all Liberians. Liberia's proactive approach to reducing dependency on a limited number of industries is aimed at enhancing its resilience to external shocks and fostering long-term economic stability. The country recognizes the importance of promoting manufacturing and value addition as key drivers of economic growth. Policymakers in Liberia view manufacturing as a crucial catalyst for creating jobs and driving economic development. By transforming raw materials into finished goods for both domestic consumption and export, Liberia aims to maximize the value captured within its borders. This strategy not only creates employment opportunities, but also stimulates overall economic growth. Investments in infrastructure development are seen as vital in supporting economic diversification and job creation within Liberia. The country is prioritizing the development of transportation networks, energy infrastructure, telecommunications, and access to water and sanitation services. Enhanced infrastructure facilitates the movement of goods and people, attracts investment, boosts productivity, and spurs economic activity across various sectors. Recognizing the significance of human capital development, policymakers in Liberia understand the need to invest in education, vocational training, and skills development. By equipping the workforce with the necessary capabilities for diverse sectors, such as manufacturing, technology, and services, Liberia aims to improve employability, foster innovation, and encourage entrepreneurship. Furthermore, policymakers are keen on supporting the growth of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, as engines of economic growth and job creation. SMEs drive innovation, provide employment opportunities, and contribute to inclusive economic development. Initiatives such as improved access to finance, business development services, and regulatory reforms can empower SMEs to thrive and contribute to economic diversification. Liberia's proactive approach signifies a departure from the past exploitation it has experienced. The country now challenges those who seek to benefit from its resources and places a greater emphasis on securing its benefits. This raises the question of whether other nations should adopt similar strategies. Why benefit the West this much when it keeps you at a loss? Let us know in the comments section if any type of partnership with the West benefits Africa in any way. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? Thanks for watching.